Jim Harbaugh, who was obviously Colin Kaepernick's coach out in San Fran when they went to the Super Bowl, had Kaepernick come out there to be the captain of the spring game, but then he also put on a throwing circuit during the halftime part of the spring game. It was NFL scouts there, obviously, because they were scouting the Michigan Wolverines. But from everything that I saw, Kaepernick still looked pretty good with the arm. And on top of that,
I guess he's not messing around when he says he's actually working out.
Yeah, because that was part of the reason why he said he wanted to throw. It was like because apparently him and his agent have been getting questions of if he still is capable of throwing the ball at a high level, the NFL level. So he went out there and displayed that he could. But then he also talked to the media afterwards and said that, this narrative that he doesn't want to be a backup quarterback and all these other things is outlandish. He said that he is completely fine with being a backup quarterback and competing because he feels like if he gets on the roster, his talent will take care of the rest. So with that being the case, it had me thinking. Said, man, Deke is 64 quarterbacks in the NFL, 32 start. And we use that term 32 and starting very loosely because we know not all starting quarterbacks are created equal. But 64 quarterbacks in the league. Do you feel like Colin Kaepernick at this stage is better than at least one of them?
Just one.
I mean, I'm just asking. Just one. I'm asking.
At least one.
At least one, right? Because it's 32. That's starters and backup, right? 32 starters, 64 total. And we said not all 32 starters are starters. Some of them are like, they out there, but are they really starters? You know what I mean? So I'm just asking, what's your thoughts on this, man?
Oh, yeah. So he's at least better than one of those 64. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want to say, is he better than all the backups? Man, I'd have to go team by team on the depth chart, unless you have it listed. I mean, I would borderline say he's probably better than every backup in the league.
I feel like even the last time we saw him. I'm not going to lie. I feel like he's in that conversation.
Here's the problem, though. Yeah, here's the problem is we haven't seen him in like 5 years. But the last time we actually saw him play, and all right, whatever. I know this is just him running around with shorts and a t-shirt or shorts and a t-shirt, Michigan, no defense or anything like that.
Right.
But he looked fine. It looked like the arm strength was still there. It looked like the mobility was still there. It looked like he's definitely kept in shape. So if we're just saying he could almost duplicate or at least get to where he was, kind of like where we last saw him, then he's pretty much better than every backup there. I just don't know what teams like. Maybe they have a young quarterback as a back. You know what I mean?
Right.
So at least every backup. But he might be better. But to that point, just because some teams' quarterback rooms could be pretty shitty, like he might be better than even some starters. Like he might be better than 5 or 6 starters. Like right now, he's better. I would probably say he's better than Drew Lock. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, that was the one I was thinking about. I was thinking about Drew Davis. I was thinking about even Gardner Minshew at times. I'm like, yeah, these guys are names. They're current.
Jets are going to stick with Zach Wilson, but you get my point.
Yeah, but that was my thing, man. It's like, am I saying that I think he can come in and be a starter day one? Not at all. Because I do think the time off affects you. But at the same time, I just think it's kind of like outlandish to think that, a guy who played at a high level to what he did is not capable of coming in and at least getting back to that in some way, shape, or form. Because even though he hasn't been playing, he also hasn't been taking the beating as well. He doesn't have the wear and tear like a Cam Newton, for example, right? Where we look at Cam and we say, man, his body does not look the same. He looks physically limited now when we watch him out there. Kaepernick has never really had to deal with that. And, I mean, obviously it sucks because, when you think about what he was doing, how everything played out, and where we are today, it's like, oh, man, you happen to be just 5 years too early. If you do this at this stage, man, we're applauding you. Nobody is saying anything negative about you. But because you were the initiator, you were the trendsetter, you lit the fire, people will just hate you because of it. I mean, not everybody, but that just is why. I mean, that's the reality of it. So, I mean, it sucks in a sense, but I also think of a guy like Tim Tebow. And I say, man, if Tim Tebow could be out the league for as long as he was out the league, he wasn't even doing football stuff. He was doing baseball. Remember that? Yeah. And he got an opportunity to come back and not even play quarterback, to play tight end. I'm like, bro, that was a whole random spot that he had never played before. If he can get that opportunity, I do think that my man Kaepernick deserves opportunity. He could do a better job than what Tebow did. That's all I'm saying, man. So when I think of that, I mean, I would like to see it. And the other thing I would like to see is this, because we do know a lot of people like to bring up his last year. Oh, man, well, he got benched and all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, we forget.
It actually wasn't a terrible last year.
Right.
It really wasn't.
But I also laugh because people forget how NFL politics work at times. we act like guys get benched because they're terrible. And it's like, no, we've seen guys get benched for a plethora of reasons, whether it's contract related, whether it's they don't vibe with the organization doesn't vibe with them. We leave that out when we want to discuss Kaepernick for argument purposes. And that's fine. But for me, I just personally think that, yeah, I want to see if he can still do it or not. Because that would shush up a lot of this, oh, he's not good enough talk, right? Because it's easy to say that when he's not being out there. It's easy to say that when we're in the comforts of our home or we're in a bar with our friends. Oh, yeah, he sucks. It's like, prove it. And that's all I want to see. Let him get out there and prove it. If he goes out there and he lays an egg, cool. We can lay it to rest, cut him, get him out of there. But if he does not suck, well, now there's a lot of people that got to shut up in a sense. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. I want to see the put up or the shut up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a dog in either one of these fights. But for me, I just want to see, like, yo, you know what? It's been talked about enough. Let's see what you got. That's kind of why I feel with it, man.
Yeah, and especially with him saying, like, I'm willing to be a backup.
Yeah.
I mean, this could almost be – it's a longer time frame for how long Kaepernick's been out versus Vic. Vic was 2 years, but then he even took a year off in a way because he was just the backup for the Eagles. Like, could Kaepernick do something like that just to get back into the league, get his feet under him again? He's the backup. They put him in some formations or something. But with him just being back in the system, he builds that buzz around his name again. Maybe a team's willing to give him a shot as a starter or at least compete for the starting job.
I mean, it worked with Mitch. We saw the Mitch Trubisky, how that worked out. We talked about Jameis Winston. Come on, man. Just go sit somewhere for a year in the system. Have a name, but just sit there for a year, bro. And I'm telling you, people, they'll forget. They'll be like, you know what?
Seattle's the obvious pick, though. I think he could. I think he could start over Drew Lock right now. That's the obvious pick because of how Pete Carroll has talked about Kaepernick.
And I was gonna say because I did remember hearing Pete Carroll talk about Colin Kaepernick, and that's the part where it was kind of like, well, if you're gonna talk about him, why don't you put your money where your mouth is, Pete? Nobody told you had to say anything. So if you're gonna talk about him, you give him an opportunity. I just want to see. I do want to see him get the chance. I don't know how well he would do in it, but I do want to see something from him. Now, I do wonder though, if now that we're hearing that he's open to return and open to be a backup and all this other stuff, does it make sense to play hardball and only wait to get to the NFL? Or you take the approach of like how you've seen Josh Gordon, for example. He's joining one of those fan football leagues. We saw T.O. He's coming out trying to do one of those leagues.
Didn't he just sign with the Chiefs, though?
No, but he legit. This came out after he signed with the Chiefs, bro. This is like, yeah. Oh my God.
Is he on T.O.'s team with Money Manziel?
I don't know. I don't know which team he's on, but I did see the picture, and I'm like, man. So it just had me thinking, though. I'm like, is that something that maybe he should consider to get more tape out there? You know what I mean? Because that is a little bit of the knock right now. It's like you don't have any new tape. So is that something that he should consider, or is there somewhere he's just like, you know what, man? Y'all have enough tape of me. You know exactly who I am. You know exactly why I'm not in the league, and it's not talent related either. So what's up? Like that's the other part to me, you know.
And that's the thing. Maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there's a better case for that. Now it's like 5 years. Now I think there is serious questions of like, bro, we do need to see how you've played recently or how you can play right now.
But I guess what is the difference between that versus or cap situation versus when we bring in a camp arm from a small nobody school that nobody's ever heard of this player and we see him and we're like, bro, you don't belong on the NFL field, but we brought you in because you're a camp arm. Couldn't you take that same approach with Cap and make him a camp arm? And if he does, great. But if not, it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't hurt you. Like, I just think of it that way because I've been in camp, played 9 years. I've seen a lot of these quarterbacks, these camp arms, and you're like, bro, what are you doing here? That's all. If those guys can get opportunity, doesn't hurt to give them opportunity. That's all.
I think the only difference is the attention you'll be getting for potentially having just a camp arm or someone that's going to be the backup. But it feels different right now.
But think about
with the way he's talking. I don't think there is. I think the attention is going to be like, it goes back to what you're saying. Could he do it? I think that's the entertaining factor that people are going to be about. It's like, oh, could he pull this off? A little comeback to the league.
And let's be real. The attention is because of what? What did he do that was so negative? What has he done that the NFL didn't actually say, you know what, you might be on to something when we look in the end zones and we see what? Stop racism, social injustice, all this other stuff, right? We see all these little slogans. That wasn't happening prior to him doing what he did. When we talk about equality, when we talk about the Rooney Rule and all this other stuff, that's still all a part of what he was standing for or taking a knee for in a sense. So for me, I'm just trying to figure out what with this media attention, Is the media attention worse than what Deshaun Watson gonna be dealing with? Is the media attention worse than what we dealt with when Vic came here? Like, I'm just trying to compare, like, when we talking media attention and that being the reason why this guy shouldn't get opportunity, I'm like, man, is this for real right now? Like, what he did is bad versus with this and that and that. That's all I'm saying, man.
Yeah, and I do think it's lighting up a lot, though, like, to where we're at right now, because I don't think that's going to be the main attention. I really don't. I think it'll be like, oh, can he play? And you talk about the NFL being an entertainment.
Play.
Yeah, seriously. And I do think so. Like a good compare. You brought up Tebow, and whenever he came back, he was going for tight end. But a big reason why Tebow, I thought, wasn't in the league anymore was because of the attention he brought to every team that he went. And it just got to the point, though. You're just like, I mean, he can't play like Kaepernick. He can't play like a ton of these dudes that bring outside attention.
Though. Tebow wasn't good. But
That's what I mean.
Quarterback wasn't good, and that was another part of the reason why he struggled so much. You know what I mean? Like, the media attention came with him, sure, and that played a part in it, but it was just, you're watching him at quarterback, and you're like, he's not what you want in a starting caliber quarterback. That's the biggest reason why I thought he was out the league, man. I didn't think it had. I mean, did the media play a portion? Maybe sure, a part of it. But I think the majority of it was, he's just not a NFL caliber quarterback, and that's fine. But that was, to me, how I took it with Tebow.
Yeah, but my point is with that is like Kaepernick, Tebow, media attention, all that other type of stuff. It's just Kaepernick could actually play quarterback. He was actually a really good quarterback.
He took a team to the Super Bowl. Just think about that as well, man.
And we're talking about the attention for Tebow and Kaepernick. You're right. Whenever you compare it to the other attention that gets brought into the NFL with other players, those were it's kind of harmless compared to other stuff.
It's like one is
Tebow is about his Christianity, and Kaepernick is
one's a Christian and one took a stand for social injustice. It's like, bro, what are we talking about here? I'm like, man, but we cheering on all type of convicts, XXX, this, and we know what those could be. And it's like, are we for real right now? Like, this is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him get a shot, man, because it goes back to what you said. Can he do it? I wouldn't mind seeing it.
Yeah, I just want to see if you can do it. That's where I'm at this stage. Like, can you do it? Because if you can, great. But if not, then we can completely put it to bed and we don't have to revisit this conversation every year. Because now I'm just like, I want to know, are you capable or not?
Yeah, he's getting up there in age, too. I just checked. Yeah. He's like 34 now. It's like,
whoa, he's up there. Whoa, 34. God, dog. You know, them quarterbacks at 34, man, that's ancient for them quarterbacks. Woo, cha. Woo.
But you get what I mean. Like, if he doesn't get signed, then all of a sudden he's 37, 38. Because what it might take is that year buffer period right here just to kind of get back. And then he could have like a solid maybe 3 or 4 year run before he hits 40. Like, I think now would be the good time to do it.
One of the people I was wondering about when we just talked about his age, Kurt Warner. How old was he? Do you remember how old he was?
Oh, he got up there. Yeah, he was.
Because he was
like where he had his second run.
His second run, right?
Yeah, he probably had to be around this. It probably was 35, 36, I'm thinking, because he fell off with the Giants.
Right.
That's when they drafted Eli Manning. And then he went over to the Cardinals, but the Cardinals drafted Matt Leinart and then gave him an opportunity. It was like between him and Warner, and neither of them really played good. But I don't know what happened. Was it when Wisenhunt went over there? Kurt Warner had a 3-4 year stretch that probably got him into the Hall of Fame.
No, absolutely.
Cardinals.
Absolutely, man.
And he was, I want to say 35-ish. 35 to probably close to 40s when he had that run. I'll look it up right now.
Yeah, because that was the one I was thinking about.
Possible.
Yeah, just in terms of, a guy that set out but was still a little bit older and still came back and was able to have like a second career in a sense. Because with Kurt Warner, that's definitely, you can point to it.
36 was his really good year with the Cardinals. 36 to 30. It was 3 years. 27 touchdowns, 17 picks the first one, 30 and 14, and then he went 26 and 14. And at that time, those were good numbers.
No, those
this
absolutely
is back to 07 to 09. The 1 year he put up over 4,500 yards.
Yeah. Completion
percentage is upper 60s, 67%, 66%. Obviously, they went to the Super Bowl. So, that was a good little run for him.